November has always been on the dark side of life and death in my life. I was hoping that this video would be about a very positive project that I have spent almost 15 weeks working on trying to bring to fruition. However, this is not the case. I lost the love of my life just a little over 2 years ago when she died of a stroke in the early morning hours of November 18, 2022, uttering her final words, "I can't breathe," and she was gone. As a sophomore in high school in 1963, I lost my favorite president, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. November of 1997, I spent entirely in a wheelchair pondering if I would ever walk again. This November, 2 days ago on November 27th, my YouTube partner, whom I had named Compass Cat, surrendered his ninth and final life, dying in the vet's office where he had been taken for a simple checkup. His real name was Belmont and he was almost 17 years old and simply was a wonderful companion for many years, and I will truly miss him. Those of us who are still here all know that life must go on and you must be thankful for the friends and family who are still in our life. I am. I must get back to my original goals for this video in that I have invested considerable time, effort, and resources into a project that had its birth over 64 years ago in 1960, born out of boredom. So for what it's worth, here's the story of Dice Baseball and its resurrection. One of my favorite movies that still truly tugs at my heart is Stand By Me, narrated by Richard Dreyfuss. With its wonderfully reflective aura paralleling my life since I lost my Debbie. We married twice, drifting apart for over 15 years and marrying the second time on November 22nd of 2014. Our previous anniversary was on Valentine's Day, a date also etched in history of the Chicago Massacre, and then our second anniversary is a notorious date of JFK's assassination in 1963. Getting back to the movie, in its theme of several young boys emerging from, leaving and escaping from their childhood into becoming teenagers. That is akin to this story I am about to relate. Here it is. The story of Dice Baseball and its resurrection. It all started in the spring of 1960, when three 12-year-old boys from Olney, Illinois were prevented from playing baseball because a long, slow, drizzling rainstorm had washed out their plans for playing Indian ball at Cherry Street Elementary School ballfield. This was 2 days in a row that the three future major leaguers, in their minds, were being kept from their passion, baseball. All three had collected a treasure trove of baseball cards and through their collective boredom, gave birth to the idea. So they collaborated to invent Dice Baseball. They were not going to just invent a simple yet fun game that mimicked the real sport, they decided to create a 3-team Richland County Dice Baseball League. It was quickly decided to have the 3 teams to be the most popular Major League Baseball teams, followed by the local Oleans. All 3 of us loved the New York Yankees, whereas the local adults fell into 2 camps, most preferred the St. Louis Cardinals with the Chicago Cubs a weak second. We threw dice for the first choice and Brian Stanhouse won, and of course, he took the Yankees. My name is Daryl and I am 76 years old. Back in 1960 I was called Snidely Whiplash after the Dudley Do-Right villain cartoon character Snidely Whiplash, with whom many seniors like myself are familiar. I took the Chicago Cubs because I've always been a glutton for disappointment. The third member of this little cabal of baseball junkies was Bud Varner, just an unbelievable 12-year-old athlete in Little League and basketball. His home runs were still going up as they cleared the Little League center field fence. He was so good at basketball, our second sports passion, that it was rumored that he was good enough at 12 to make the starting 5 of the senior high school varsity team. Damn it! He was that good. He and I were on the same Little League team in the summer, and Mr. Varner, Bud's dad, was our coach. Bud had 2 older brothers, Dave and Bob, both superb athletes. They had played or were playing varsity high school basketball. Bud consistently competed against his brothers, his older siblings, and they took no pity on him. However, by the time Bud turned 12, he was starting to get to Bob, the hothead of the 3 brothers. Bob was starting on the varsity high school team, David had done so in his high school days, but by 1960 he was moving into adulthood with those responsibilities. In Little League, Prairie Farms, the local commercial dairy, was our sponsor, and we dominated all other teams except for the dreaded Bora and Bolander, a local lumber yard sponsor. That team was led by none other than Stanhouse, Brian. Brian and I were the brains behind Dice Baseball, but Bud added a competitive slant to our creation. He just wanted nothing more than to beat your ass at anything from basketball to pitching pennies at a seam in the sidewalk. Michael Jordan is afflicted with this competitive disease, if you want to call it that. Who needs video games? We played outside constantly, only sidelined by the inclement weather from time to time. That extended rain system that ended up hanging around almost a week triggered our inventive spirits. Thus, Dice Baseball was born out of boredom along with our 3-team Richland County Dice Baseball League. We pooled all our baseball cards, conducted a spring draft, let stats perform his organizational magic, and we were ready to kill boredom once and for all. We competed at our Dice Baseball game almost every evening the rest of the spring of 1960. Then the summer took our attention to the real game and our beloved Little League. Oh yes, that summer finished off our collective childhoods, and that fall the mighty Yankees were slain by a bottom of the ninth home run by the Pittsburg Pirates' Bill Mazeroski. You would think the three of us would have been devastated, but Brian had moved away to another state. I had started playing my life's passion, tennis. Poor Bud fell victim to life's ultimate curveball, girls. You see, we were no longer 12-year-old baseball junkies, we were preteens entering junior high exposed to girls from all over Richland County, Illinois. Bud, who looked 15 or 16, was swamped by several 8th grade girls who saw him as Olney's very own the Fonz. I was enamored with the school majorette, Pam Stover, an 8th grader. What a dish! Our wonderful creation, Dice Baseball, faded into our elementary school childhood. Bud needed his baseball bat to fend off those crazy eights. I made the mistake of initially teasing him about his new friends. I had fun with it until Bud threatened to beat my ass if I did not drop the subject. I promptly did, and lived to also fall victim to the charms of some heavenly lasses. That year of 1960 was like no other, and it all came back this amazingly reflective year of 2024. I just had to resurrect Dice Baseball after 64 years in the deep freezer. Brian and I have stayed in touch over the years and plan to meet in Oklahoma City in January or February. Can't wait for that. He is still very busy as a tenured professor of statistics at Oklahoma State University in Stillwater. The year 1960 was like no other, when tennis blossomed and baseball just faded away. Tennis has given me so much it is hard to describe the joy it has provided these past 64 years. A free college education at Indiana University, playing for a wonderful coach named Bill Landon, an officer commission in the United States Air Force, a wonderful career as a professional tennis coach, trainer and instructor tennis. Between the Air Force and tennis travels, I have been to over 50 countries, countless obscure islands, totaling 63 unique destinations in this world of ours, encompassing all 7 continents. Tennis let me coach over 100 young players to go on to play tennis in college, 7 who attained ATP and WTA world rankings. That was over 40 years of never regretting of going to work. I spent 6 years in aviation in the United States Air Force, logging over 3,000 hours in C-141 Starlifters and C-130 Hercules Awards birds. In the highly specialized C-130s flying out of Little Rock Air Force Base, we dropped 16 one-ton pallets from almost 3 miles up and put them in drop zones all over Southeast Asia. These zones were rarely the size of a football field. My AWADS, Adverse Weather Aerial Delivery System, with its advanced Ka-band radar, cost more than the entire standard C-130 in 1972. Most of my travel in the United States Air Force was to third world countries in South America, Central America, the Caribbean, Africa and of course Southeast Asia. But I've never officially been to Laos or Cambodia, wink wink, but it is where my YouTube moniker, The Undertaker Navigator, evolved over a hectic 5 weeks in 1972 about these missions. But it has been over 50 years since our single C-130 and its crew of 5 recovered almost 1,000 bodies of young Korean soldiers sent into those godforsaken jungles to interdict the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and sadly lost their lives doing just that. We flew into dozens of uncontrolled grass strip airfields with engines always running to accomplish our gruesome task. There is no record of our efforts that summer of 1972, for nothing was ever officially recorded.
I'll be back.
Coming soon to this YouTube channel? The greatest video ever made. At least the greatest one on how to play celebrity trivia dice baseball. We know that's a mouthful, but this will be the future of adult entertainment. Stay tuned.